starting the recording. We are on chapter 14-ish. We've been struggling with 14 for a while, get through it. I'm going to get through it tonight, one way or the other, and then we'll go into 15. 15 and 16 are kind of, they're short chapters and they're kind of tied together. So we're going to finish up the harvest of the earth tonight, the last paragraph there in chapter 14, and then go into 15, and maybe we'll be able to combine 15 and 16 because they are very, very closely related. So let's get involved in that. I got pollen or something in my eyes, itching me all afternoon. Must have been that big rain stirred up something. Um, any questions before we get started? Anything from last week we want to go over before we get started? All right, starting with chapter 14. Um, we looked at the messages of the three angels now, and those three angels in this middle paragraph here in chapter 14. Um, these three angels are bringing a proclamation, a very loud and a very public proclamation of the coming judgment. Um, and that's what we're looking at now. We've got the scene set. We've got some preliminary preliminary issues taken care of, and we are now looking at the beginning of the final judgment coming. I think at this point we still have the believers on the earth, those that haven't been killed in the troubles that are, of course, there's troubles now. We know that the beast, uh, the uh, the dragon has come. He's brought with him the beast from the land, the beast from the sea. They are gathering people to them, just as just as God has gathered His people. The devil is seeking to copy God with his antichrist and his false prophet, gathering people in the same kind of way, because that's what the devil is trying to do, is to mimic what God does. And there are troubles out there. The devils and the demons are causing a lot of trouble. The Christians are being persecuted, a lot of them persecuted to the point of death. Um, so at this point, it seems that the believers are still on the earth, but with this proclamation that these three angels come, the time is running out. And remember, we've got now, as the devil, as the dragon, the devil is out there with his antichrist and his false prophet. They are gathering people to them that bear their name, that bear that mark that we all bear. We bear a mark on us, remember. We bear the name of God on us. We are marked by God. In the same way, the devil's believers, his followers, are marked by his name. And whether it be a physical mark or just as we carry a spiritual mark, it's not real clear to me that this may not be a physical mark. It could be. I could be persuaded. But at this point in my reading, it it could be a physical mark. I tend to think of it as the same kind of mark that we carry. But anyway, it is a definite mark. It is a definite mark that they are carrying with them. Theirs is not so easy to put down. So,
How do they buy or sell without the mark? If they don't have the mark, they have to buy or sell. They have to buy or sell with the mark on, but if they don't have then they're given a choice. How do they see that?
It it could be that you may, in order to buy something, it does not seem to me out of the realm of possibility that you carry. In fact, there is some evidence during the first century here that in order to do business in Rome as a Roman, you carried around a little clay chit that you had gotten from the Roman authority when you went in and pledged your allegiance to Caesar, to the Kaiser. They would give you a little clay, sort of like my little rock here. They'd give you a little clay chit. This is an actual rock. Um, they would give you a little clay marker that you then were able to go into any kind of merchant or something and present this, and that marked you as an official Roman. So it may be something like that, that you go to, Sam's Club or something, and if you pledge your allegiance to the uh, the false Messiah, then they would give you a chit, and you carry this around to show that you are a follower and you can buy and sell with that. Could be something that mimics that we've already seen in Rome. I don't know, but like I said, Jeff, it may be a physical mark. It
Well,
could.
I hear tell that the first step is to get the universal ID first,
And you know
and then
what?
things carry on from there.
It might be something they put on your skin, like a
Yeah,
maybe, I don't know. And the only
yeah.
way they know
I
is
mean,
they stick it in your hand or something,
and
or
that
forehead.
thing right there,
You got it. That's it.
that's
That's
the
it.
old passport. I had to get
Yeah.
one. I thought I was going to have to go to Canada, so I had to go get a passport. Took a while. This was back in like 2020, 2020 or 2021. I thought I was going to have to go up to Canada. So for the first time, I had to go get a passport, and then I didn't have to. So I have one now. But
That's
this,
step number one.
yeah, that thing's been around for a while.
Yeah.
But
But
like you said,
then you got to put the ID to the body.
yeah, and it's got to be, yeah. So there's all sorts of ideas, and I'm not going to call them conspiracy theories, because the second a conspiracy theory is correct, then it's no longer a theory. So I'm not one that's going to die on that hill. If we start getting tattoos of barcodes on us, yeah, that's pretty obvious. So and the important thing is that we read this, and we know from back there where the mark is talked about, that so that one, and this causes both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to be marked on the right hand of the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is the name of the beast, or his number, or the number of his name. That is pretty clear. So let's keep our eyes open. Um,
And then don't be deceived, because they're going to make it so that it's wonderful.
right? Yeah, it's not like they say, all right, you got to line up here. We're going to brand you all. No, no, it's not going to be that. The devil is much more intelligent than that. It's going to be,
It's hard to refuse.
yeah, it's going to be very deceptive, and very, like, this is the greatest thing in the face of the earth.
Oh, y'all, there was a cartoon that came out a few years ago that had exactly that. They had kiosks set up, and they were really hyping it up
Mm-hmm.
to take this
Yeah,
mark. And they said if you take it, you can have um, take better pictures or whatever. I
yeah,
forgot what it was called, but I shared it on Facebook a while back.
yeah.
It was wow. It's like
Yeah.
they're desensitizing the public.
Oh yeah, yeah. It is going to be something that seems like this is this is great. This is a patriotic thing. It could be. Let's keep our eyes open, and our minds ready and sharp for whatever this is. Whatever that mark is, understand it. Watch for it. Be watchful. That is that we are the guardians of the gate. We are the watchmen on the wall. So we have to be watchful. That's what these kind of gatherings are for. We are training we are training watchmen to watch over our church, our family, our community. We are the watchmen. We are the called out ones. So that's why it's so important for us to study with groups like this, that we sharpen each other, because I know that you guys are listening to me and checking me. That that sharpens us all. So be watchful. Be watchful. Um, So back to chapter 14. I'm not going to. I'm going to get through 14. Verse 14. In fact, it's verse 14. We're going to start in. This is after the proclamation of the three angels. Then, that was the three angels. Then I looked and beheld a white cloud, and seated on the cloud was one like a son of man. Have we heard that before? Everybody better say Daniel chapter 7.
Yep.
I saw, I looked and beheld a white cloud, and seated on that cloud was one like a son of man, with a golden crown on his head and a sharp sickle in his hand. And another angel came out of the of the temple. Remember, we're still near that temple that we first saw way back in Revelation, the second chapter, I believe, when the temple was open to us. Another angel came out of the temple, calling with a loud voice to him who sat on the cloud, "Put in your sickle and reap, for the hour to reap has come, for the harvest of the earth is fully ripe." And he who sat on the cloud swung his sickle across the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple in heaven, and he too had a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, the angel who has authority over fire. And he called with a loud voice to the one who had the sharp sickle, "Put your sickle and gather the clusters from the vine of the earth, for its grapes are ripe." So the angel swung his sickle around the earth, and gathered the grape harvest of the earth, and threw it into a great winepress of the wrath of God. And the winepress was trodden outside the city, and the blood flowed from the winepress as high as a horse's bridle, for 1,600 stadia. This is the coming judgment that's coming here. The
I did
first,
the math on that.
I'm sorry?
I actually looked that up. That was 200 miles.
Yeah, yeah. It's like from Jerusalem up into Syria. It's a tremendous. Basically, the there's a lot of blood. There's a
That's a
lot of
lot.
blood. So, um, so we've got two harvests here. We've got two harvests, and we don't have to even think about what that first figure is. The one that's seated on a cloud with the golden crown, and he has a sharp sickle, and the angel comes out of the temple and tells him, "Put in your sickle and reap, for the hour to reap has come, for the harvest of the earth is fully ripe." So he who sat on the cloud swung his sickle across the earth, and the earth was reaped. This seems pretty obvious to me, and I've heard I've heard both sides, but it seems pretty obvious. There's some that say this is a harvest of the unbelievers. There's some that say it's the harvest of the believers. I think the the majority opinion is that this is a harvest of believers, but there is some ambiguity to it. But I tend to think that this is a harvest of believers, and this could be, think about it, this is Norm's interpretation, this could be the, what we call the rapture, the pulling up of the believers. This could be the rapture here. It, that I don't see as often as this is just the believers being harvested. But I don't know. It for me, this is kind of a nice place between the announcement of the judgment. This sounds to me like when believers of the Lord are removed from the earth before the wrath of God comes.
I
So,
think that's probably when it was they were persecuted and they died.
and and
That's what I think.
that could be also, that is an equally valid point there. But
The bad people were persecuted.
no, the good people are.
Oh, okay.
This is a persecution of believers, because remember the last paragraph of the one above us, verse 13. And I heard a loud voice from heaven saying, this is, the three angels have made a proclamation, and then finally in that last verse it says, verse 13, and I heard a loud voice from heaven saying, write this, blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Blessed indeed, says the Spirit, that they may rest from their labors, for their deeds follow them. This is a blessing, a, a hopeful message to those who are going to die during this awful, awful time. And that, as Jeff said, that could be this harvest that we're making here, is that this is the last persecution that's coming, and this is the harvest of the believers during this brutal persecution that we're about to see. Either way, I think this first paragraph here is speaking of believers.
Well, you kind of have to, yeah, you have to look at the in chapter 12 at where he says he poured out his wrath upon the saints. Remember, he was chasing the saints
Yeah,
during that
right,
because we're talking about the woman.
right,
And
yeah,
then
yeah,
and so he's wearing out. He's going to wear out. Here's the patience, and he'll wear out the saints.
yeah,
And that's what they're doing. They're wearing out the saints.
right,
So this part, Jesus is allowing that to happen by him himself swinging the sickle.
yes, yes, yes.
And so,
Never
so
forget
he,
that.
yeah, so they're gonna go because these are the persecuted saints during the judgment period during this time of trouble.
Right,
The saints that were in the age of grace, which is where we now reside,
yeah,
they're going to be called up before any of this gets started. So
yep,
these are the tribulation saints, and the Bible. Uh, the problem with the prophecy, they kind of jump around a lot in different areas.
right,
So you might see part of one
yep,
that should be with another part later, but it's done that way on purpose.
right, yeah,
Because God doesn't want Satan figuring everything out.
yeah. And Jeff makes an excellent point, and I try and remember to do this every single week, is that this is prophecy, and this is not like what happens in chapter 12 happens now, and then next happens 13, and next happens 14. Oh, no, 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 no. We saw this in Daniel when Daniel saw a vision that was over here, and then we went back in time and saw another vision, and then we went in the middle and saw this. Revelation is exactly the same way, and that's what makes it so difficult for us here on the earth that are used to, in 10 minutes we're going to be in the future, and 5 minutes ago it was the past, and that's how things are ordered for us. But prophecy is not like that. John is seeing visions before him, and he's not told whether this, he's not always told that this one happens before this one. There are some cases where it says, and then this happened, and then I saw this. It's not always like that. He sees things, and then he sees another thing. Well, that thing could have happened a year ago. So always remember that about prophecy. It is it can be in order as the prophet sees it, but it's not necessarily so. That's what makes this so difficult. Is it sounds like that first harvest right there is happening before these seven plagues come, and these seven plagues are definitely the wrath of God because it says it right there. So whatever happens when those seven plagues come, this is the wrath of God, and believers, I think all of us agree, a believer is not going to be left to face the wrath of God. That being said, some of the people that are in the pouring out of the wrath of God might turn and start to believe. Those that bear the mark of the beast, their time is over, but not everybody took the mark of the beast. So some of these
Very,
people,
very few, right?
very few, yeah, because,
But I have a question.
yeah,
When you say the believers being persecuted, you mean judgment?
um, no. Persecution, the believers being persecuted, this is as Jeff said. Where is that, Jeff? In 12, um,
12.
chapter 12, it's
Near the end.
uh,
I don't have it in front of me, so I gotta go get
okay,
my.
yeah, I'll find it.
I think he said 12.
Yeah, it's chapter 12 because he just read it to us a minute ago, or
It
recited it to
kind
us.
of throws me off, though.
It is chapter 12. Remember, is the woman and the dragon. This is when we see a vision of this woman in the heavens, and this is Israel or Mary or a combination of both that we're seeing here. But the woman in the sky is pregnant, and she's about to give birth, and the dragon is waiting for it, and then
Yeah.
Satan is thrown down to the earth, and at that point, this dragon that comes down to the earth, at that point, that's his final. He was thrown out of heaven in Genesis. What? No, I
Yeah.
didn't say that right. He was he was given his kingdom as the earth in Genesis. Now he wasn't thrown
Okay,
out.
here it is.
Thank you.
And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which kept the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So that's what he was doing.
Right.
He went to make war with the remnant of her seed,
Yep.
which is the which is the Jews are going to be dealt with, like in Rome. Paul was talking in Romans. He was hoping that the Jews would get saved, but they wouldn't. It was the Gentiles getting saved.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, but the riches of the world had blinded their eyes to the gospel, and they said it, and it will remain with them. But there will be a time when the eyes of the Lord, because it's in the Psalms too. It says when captivity returns to Jacob,
Mm-hmm.
meaning when Israel is again being dealt with by God.
Yep.
Right now, all these years, they're not being dealt with. But in 1948, that's when he started to turn his eyes back to
Mm-hmm.
Israel. And so, and the remnant of her seed is the ones that were left behind, the ones that are not Messianic Jews, the ones who were left behind because they stayed in their old ways and their traditions. But in Zechariah 14, you'll see it says, because this is another one,
Mm-hmm.
they, I think it's 14 or no, that's when he comes back. It's the I forgot which part in Zechariah, but he said they will see him whom they have who was pierced and mourn
Yeah.
for him as though they were his own son. So they will see Jesus, and that's when they will believe. They're just like
Mm-hmm.
Thomas. They don't understand anything unless they see it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. These saints here, these are not the saints from our time, from the age of grace. If we were to be called up today, we would be spared because that's what it said. The generation, remember in Revelation 3,
Mm-hmm.
they will not see it. And so,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so it, it jumps around like that. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of things like Zechariah, the other so-called lesser prophets. They're not lesser. They have a lot of deep
Yeah.
theology in them. So you kind of have to read those
Yeah.
too.
You,
Thank
you
you.
you have to really pick. You have to really understand all the prophets. And remember, there were some prophets that somebody wrote down what they said, but we don't have them because we have a bunch of references in the Old Testament to prophetic works that we don't have anymore. So we're missing a lot of stuff that we should have, and maybe someday we find a bunch of clay jars there in Qumran somewhere that we can find some of these older writings of older prophets that we're missing. But what we've got now is a pretty clear prophetic picture, as clear as prophecy gets. But sometimes and Jeff has said it a million times. This is not, here's what's going to happen on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It don't come like that. We have to piece the pictures together. It's just like your family album. If you've all got a box of pictures, you go through them and say, "Well, how old was this child? Is that one goes?" And you're never really exactly sure because you didn't write down any of the dates on the pictures, right? Yeah, that's me. So we do the best we can to try and put the picture together. And yeah, we're going to have disagreements. We're going to have disagreements, but we want to have we want to have the big picture, because right here we see that when Satan gets thrown down to earth here in chapter 12, he and everybody else knows this is it. This is the end. And especially after those three angelic messengers in chapter 14 come with that proclamation, yeah, it's over at that point in time. Where the believers are in all of this stuff, we can guess. I don't know. That harvest that they're talking about there in the first paragraph that we read, I don't know. It sounds like a rapture to me, but Jeff Jeff sees it differently, and that's fine. I'm not gonna never speak to Jeff again. Um, we 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 see things differently, um, but that's why we have this class here so that you hear what he interprets, you hear what I interpret, you read the book, and your interpretation, the Holy Spirit will give it to you, one way or the other. So we see the first harvest that is done by the Messiah, the cloud rider. The Messiah comes down and makes a harvest. Then the second harvest is done by an angel from the temple. And that second harvest, that one we don't have to guess about that one. And you see it right there in verse 19. So the angel swung his sickle across the earth and gathered the grape harvest of the earth and threw it into the winepress of the wrath of God. There it is right there. We don't have to guess anymore. We know what that harvest is. And the winepress was trodden once again outside the city. So this is not faithful people. This is not anything outside the city. They crucified the Lord outside the city because he had become cursed is he who hangs on the tree. You don't have a cursed execution in the city. So outside the city is bad. The winepress was trodden outside the city and blood flowed from the winepress. So, you know, that harvest is a harvest of evil. That harvest is a harvest of evil. So, chapter 15. Now the 7 plagues come. Chapter 15, verse 1. Then I saw another sign in heaven, great and amazing, 7 angels with 7 plagues, which are the last for them. For with them the wrath of God is finished. Right? There's no doubt what this is. This is the end. The wrath of God is finished. These 7 angels with 7 plagues, and we've seen the 7 angels before. We looked at them chapters ago when they brought seals and trumpets. Well, here comes the 7 again, except this time they've got 7 bowls with plagues. And verse 2, and then I saw what appeared to be a sea of glass mingled with fire, and also those who had conquered the beast and its image and the number of its name, standing beside the sea of glass with harps of God in their hands. And they sang the song of Moses, the servant of God, and the song of the Lamb, saying, and then we go into the song there. But this sea of glass mingled with fire, that's an important symbol. You remember we talked about the symbolism of the sea. The symbolism of the sea is usually a symbolism of chaos. It is the chaos of the sea. The sea has always been a chaotic figure in the ancient mind. The sea was something that just could not be tamed. It was always a chaotic figure, and it's been the chaos. It's been the symbol of chaos since Genesis, the first chapter of Genesis, when we saw that the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. That word "tahom" is the chaotic sea, the primordial chaotic sea. We see that scattered through the Old Testament, that word. So this sea that John is seeing, I see what appeared to be a sea of glass mingled with fire. And this is before the throne of God. This is in the temple-ish area. And when I look at this, the a lot of times this sea of glass, and we saw this in some of the first chapters in Revelation and also in Daniel, the sea of glass mentioned when we're in the throne area of God, the 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 area of the council of heaven. This sea of glass sometimes is a direct reference to the big bronze laver that sat outside the temple that the priest would take a ceremonial bath in before they could go and do some of the holy rituals. They had to cleanse themselves in this big bronze mikvah, the laver. It's basically the same kind of thing we see in a baptismal font, except this one was massive. And they sometimes call that the sea of glass. The Jews did. So this is to me, it's a sea, but it's a sea of glass. There is no chaos in this sea. It is perfectly clear and smooth, and no trouble in it at all. So this is before the throne. This sea of glass that here was a sacred cleansing vessel. So we've got all this symbology coming up in this sea of glass here. The fire, of course, anytime you see God's throne, you're going to see fire associated with it. So this is an area of most holy place that we're looking at here, and and these uh, um, these people, and also those who had conquered the beast and its image and the number of its name, standing beside the sea of glass. These are those people that Jeff was reminding us. These are the people that have been martyred during this troubled time. Here it looks like. And they're standing before this sea of glass here, and they sing the song of Moses and the song of the servant of God, the song of the Lamb. This is a pretty clear reference to two of the songs of Moses. You find them in Exodus 15. Um, Exodus 14, Exodus 15. This is right after the Israelites crossed the Red Sea. On the other side, Moses sang a song. Chapter 15 in Exodus. Then Moses and the people of Israel sang this song to the Lord, saying, I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously, and the horse and the rider he has thrown into the sea. We've got 7 plagues coming up, and immediately anybody who is a Hebrew at this time, you see 7 plagues, you know he's talking about Egypt. And when they're talking about singing the song of Moses, there is no longer any guessing. We're talking about the defeat of the Egyptian godhead by Moses, and the people of Israel crossing the Red Sea from slavery to, the symbolism here is too great to deny. Also, there's another hymn in Deuteronomy that we forget a lot. I mean, most people will guess that one in Exodus, but there's another hymn that Moses sang near the end of his life, right after he commissioned Joshua. There's a song of Moses in Exodus, and it's Exodus 32. And Exodus 32 has a direct reference to the incident of Babel in the Tower of Babel incident, where God divorced the nations. So this all has imagery of judgment coming. In these two hymns from Exodus and from Deuteronomy. And they sing the song of Moses and the servant of God and the song of the Lamb, saying, "Great and amazing are your deeds, O Lord, the God Almighty. Just and true are your ways, O King of the nations. Who will fear, O Lord, and glorify your name? For you alone are holy. All the nations will come and worship you, for your righteous acts have been revealed." John just sums it up here, but that's basically the song of Moses in a nutshell for both of them in Exodus and Deuteronomy. We're almost at the end now. Are there any questions? We're going to pick up here with the Song of Moses. Any questions quickly before we get kicked off?
No.
Okay. Everybody had a good week, and we will do this again on Thursday next week.
Thank
Okay.
you. Have a good
Good night,
lesson.
everybody.
Have a good
Thanks, guys.
thank you, Norm.
Have a good
Hi,
weekend.
everyone.
Yep.
Hi,
Good weekend,
everybody.
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.